In this video, I'm going to talk about Hub within Azure AI Foundry. So, what is a hub? Hub is basically the starting point from where you can start creating your artifacts within Azure AI Foundry. So, Hub is, I would say, a centralized place through which you can collect and configure various components. Now, Hub basically provide an environment for team to collaborate and organize the work. Now, a hub can contain multiple projects. So, you cannot have a project unless you have a hub. So, the hub is the starting point. Hub is a place where you can manage everything from your AI project needs like resources, security, etc. Now, basically, it helps IT admins to centrally set up security settings and cost and governance usage. Uh, Projects can only be created from a hub. So, you need to create a hub first. You can create a hub from Azure portal or Azure AI Foundry portal. Hub can also be provisioned from a template like the Bicep or a Terraform. In order to create hub, make sure that you have the owner or a contributor role to create a new hub. Deleting a hub deletes all the associated projects. So if you have 5 projects within your hub, all those 5 projects will get deleted once you delete the hub. Hub creation, once you create a hub, these are the things which gets created. So these resources are presented while creating a hub. So Azure AI services, storage account, key vault, application insights, container registry. Now key vault, app insights, and container registries are the optional component, but other things get automatically created, and that is bare minimum necessity for the hub creation process. This is how the listing will look like. So I'm in the management center. If I navigate to hub, as you see in the overview, I can see the various projects within that hub. And from here, I can see various hubs for my project. Okay, so let's go into the demo. So in order to create a hub, what we need to do is like first navigate to portal.azure.com. And if you find Azure AI Foundry, if you do not see that option in the Azure services, just find Azure AI Foundry. And once you do that, you should be able to see this listing in the services, Azure AI Foundry. And the first thing what you do is like create a hub. So you have an option to create a project and a hub. If you create a project, make sure that you already have a hub created, or it will start asking you for the hub name, or it will ask you and give you an option to create a hub. So it's always important that you first create a hub. So hub is basically grouping container for projects. So it collects all the projects which has a similar purpose in one particular hub. So you can have multiple hubs. So as you see over here in the screen, I have different hubs created. Now hub is basically a grouping container for project. It provides security, connectivity, and compute management. Now if you see the logo over here, now anything with has this green color, it is a like as you see over here, this is like with a green color, it is a hub, right? So this is a hub 007, hub 007. And then we have all this different sort of naming conventions which I have used for provisioning various services. Okay, now I will go into one of the creation process and show it to you. So if you click on create a hub, so it will first ask me various things. Okay, so first navigate to the basics tab, and then we will navigate to all the storage, networking, encryption, identity tags, and review and create. So first it will ask me for resource group. So if I have a resource group, I can specify that I have a resource group named as Feb 2025. Good. It will ask me to provision a region. So hub, for a hub you need to specify the region. So in my case, I'm going to specify East US, and this time I'm going to call the hub as hub new year. And you can specify the project, the friendly name. So I'll just call it as hub new year 2025. Default project resource group. So you need to select the project resource group. So if you do not have a project resource group, you can select and create one. And then once you have that, so you I have already created one. So I have this Feb 2025. So if you want to see what does a project resource group is like, when a user does not specify a resource group for the project, this resource group will be used by default. So what you're doing is like here you're just specifying the default project resource group. Now I have an option to not select it. Okay, and then once I remove that selection, it will just tell me that okay, by default this project resource group does not belong to specified project resource group which you have selected earlier. Now, Azure AI services base model. So you can connect to an Azure AI services, including OpenAI. If now here, as you see, you have an option to select. If you don't select, then it will select. It will automatically create one. So I'll just leave all the things default. Then I can go to storage. From here, I have an option to create a storage account, specify the key vault, and these are optional. Application insights and container registry. It's all none, but it automatically creates an Azure Key Vault, okay, and a storage account. So that is mandatory, but App Insights and Container Registry are optional. Then I'll go to networking. Now there are various options over here depending on how secure you want the model or the AI applications to be. So there are three network isolation mode. One is public. So public is workspaces accessed via public endpoint. Compute can access public resources, and outbound data movement is unrestricted. So this is, I would say, a least secured one. So this is public. Then we have private with internet outbound. So here workspace is accessed via private endpoint. Compute can access private resources. So remember the difference between public and private. So this is all private, and outbound data movement is unrestricted. So here again the outbound data movement is unrestricted. Now everything else, so workspace is accessed by a private endpoint, compute can access private resources, so these are all private, but then outbound data is unrestricted. Now this is the most secured one, I'd say, private with approved outbound. So here outbound data movement is restricted to approved targets. Okay, so you have an option to select all these things. I'm going to select just public for a time being. Then we have an option to select encryption. For the encryption, customer managed key, I'm going to skip that. Identity, system assigned identity default. Option to select tags, review and create, and it will start the validation process. And if everything else is good, then it's gonna allow me to create my first Azure AI hub. Now Azure AI Hub, basically, once you create an Azure AI Hub, you can create projects within that Azure AI Hub. And once you start working on a project, you have an option to select various large language models, and then you can start fine tuning the model depending on your requirement. So that's the whole purpose, right? First, you create a hub. Hub will not contain anything specific to a project, but once you create a project will get associated to a hub, and then within that project you start authoring your services. Okay, you can have multiple hubs, you can have multiple projects within a hub, but remember one project can only be a part of one hub. As you see over here, there are a couple of things happening. Storage account key vault is getting provisioned, and the AI related services is getting created, and it might take a minute or two. And once it is done, uh, everything should be green tick mark, and I should be able to navigate to that specific hub. So I think the deployment is succeeded. I can go to the resource. As you see over here, this hub new year is created. But if you want to view what does this hub contains, you need to go into the Azure AI Foundry. Also, you have an option to create a project within that hub. But I'm not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna first go into Azure AI Foundry and see what does the hub contain. So hub basically contains some information. So it is asking me to create a project. I'll just click cancel for time being, and it is telling me that oh, there are so many hubs which you have created over here. So I have this Feb 2025 project Girish. I have all these things. I can navigate to a project, but I cannot go into directly into the hub without even having a context of the project, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into one of the project which I've already created. I'll go to management center over here, and if I click on all hubs and project here, I will be able to see all the hubs, okay, which I have created. Now as you see over here, hub new year 2025, this is of type hub, and Girish Jan 2025 is a project. So if I go into the hub, this is the hub. Now here it will ask you to create a new project. Now I have an option to create a new project. So I'll create a new project within a hub, and I will call this as research DNA. So this is the name of the project. I'm just gonna click on create, and then in the backend it will start creating a project within that particular hub. And I can create multiple hub for that specific use case. So if I have a medical use case or a law use case, or if I have a transport related use case, I can go ahead and create a separate hub, or I can create different projects within a same hub. Now, Research DNA is a project. Now, this is a project selector. From here, you can go into various projects. But if you want to see different hubs and projects, you click all hubs and projects. Go to your current hub, Hub New Year 2025, and here you should see the project which we have created. Now, once you have multiple projects, you can do various filtering and column selection option, and accordingly you can get the details of the hub, like get API endpoints and keys, subscription quota, uh, and then you can delete the hub. You can also add new user to this particular hub. So if I click on new user, I have an option to specify what role does the user belongs to. So Girish can be an Azure AI developer or a contributor or a reader. I'll say Girish is a contributor, and I will add that user. So this user get automatically added to the hub, and then any project which you create will the user will get that automatic access to that particular project. So this is how you basically use the hub. And hub has various options like users, models, endpoint, connected resources. So just to show you, you can see that for this particular hub you have this users. You can add user from here as well. You can see what kind of model has been deployed. So currently there are no models being deployed in the hub. What are the various connected resources? So this gets automatically created, like it has got authentication type of API key and SaaS. So this is Azure Blob Storage and AI services and Azure Open AI. And then what project does this hub has? So this hub just has one project. So I have this project selected, and if you want to go into the context of a project, you can go into overview, and then you can again come back to the same point and see the models and endpoint, project users, connected resources. So remember, I added this user Girish. This user Girish has access to this project now. Okay, so if you add that user to the hub, that user will get access to the project as well. So this is how the hub operates in Azure AI Studio, and which is called as Azure AI Foundry in the recent releases. Thanks for watching.